Yo, what's going on, people? This is Shok, and want to do a video talking about the NX because with the few videos that I've actually done, I actually really haven't talked much about this system yet. So the first topic I want to discuss is obviously when this thing, whatever it is going to release. I'm going to try to get this video done kind of fast because I actually have somewhere to go. So if I'm talking really fast and kind of stumbling over my thoughts, I apologize in advance. But I'm going to try to make this just, calm and collected as I can. But I'd say maybe a month to a month and a half ago, I was kind of in the camp of, I think there's a high chance that the NX will actually come out this year. I could see it coming out in 2017, but I think it's coming out in 2016. Fast forward to now, though, and I definitely think that this system is coming out this year for sure. And there's three reasons. The first reason is pretty much the main one, but that's Super Metal Dave's 64's rumors. Now, if you guys don't know who this guy is, if you guys haven't been following this whole take my wallet out, it's uncomfortable. If you guys haven't been following this whole saga, regarding him, Super Metal Dave 64 is a person here on YouTube. That's his YouTube channel's name. Go type him in, go check him out. And he's also the owner of, I believe it's Nintendo.com, and he is also I forgot how to pronounce the name. Trevelin, I think, is his NeoGaf name. His name was NeoGaf. So if you guys don't know who this guy is, he's pretty much this guy who owns Nintendo, like I said, and he's on NeoGaf as well. And apparently he has a source that he's been talking to for a while now, and a Nintendo employee had told him that Zelda U is actually going to be ported to the NX. It's still going to be on the Wii U, but it'll get an NX version. And it's going to launch with the NX this year in 2016. And he didn't say, "Oh, take this with a grain of salt," or "I'm not sure," or "This is what I heard." He said that he was shown proof. This is a person who is actually working at Nintendo, and he said 100%, "I can confirm to you that this system is coming out this year, 2016." Now, of course, because somebody says something like that, that doesn't make you, automatically, just believe the person. But there's a lot of things that have happened since then that pretty much confirm everything that this guy was saying, at least regarding this specific rumor. And the list of things he gave along with it are pretty true. And the first being is that, well, his source actually got verified by a moderator on the internet. And I believe multiple people, across other places on the internet, because, a lot of people have, hookups and whatnot with Nintendo. But in order to post a rumor on NeoGaf, you actually, if you're, the source or whatever, you say, "Hey, I have this source who told me this," you actually have to get your source verified before you can actually make a post, make a thread about the rumors that you have received, right? So a moderator actually verified that the person he got these rumors from is a real person, firstly, and also that person works at Nintendo, and lastly, that person's position in Nintendo would actually, give them access to this kind of information. So all that got verified. Now, of course, that within itself doesn't confirm the information, but that was the first thread of credibility that he received. The second was when Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon were announced. Because in one of the, let me see if I can actually pull this up. I should be showing you guys this as I'm talking about it, so you guys can kind of follow along. Take too long. But one of the things that he posted was that the code name for Pokemon Sun and Moon, the next Pokemon games, was Niji. Now, in the assets that Nintendo actually sent out to, journalists and sites and media, whatever, through email, whatnot, if you actually looked at the URL bar or, the file name or whatever, right, the word Niji was actually in the names of these pictures. And it doesn't even stop there. Nintendo actually went out of the way to take that name out of these pictures to, I guess, try to take away the credibility from the leak that Super Metal Dave gave. So that was sign number one. He predicted that, not predicted, but he called that one spot on, no questions asked. It's not a stretch, it's not a reach. He said Niji. That's a very specific word. That's not some random code name word you're gonna throw out. And luckily, a game used that code name, right? Niji. It was in the actual picture files for Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. The second thing that happened was, pretty much the direct yesterday, right? Because also along with his leak, he announced that not announced, but he said that Nintendo would be announcing that Disney Art Academy game for the 3DS that we just saw yesterday in the Direct. He said that Star Fox is not going to get delayed and is still on track to launch at the same time that it was previously set to. We saw yesterday that's exactly what happened. He said that Federation Force, God bless that game soul, wasn't going to get delayed. It was going to release on time, this spring or early summer, I think is what the time frame was or whatever. So pretty much he's been correct so far on multiple things. Some things pretty specific, right? Because the whole Pokemon codename, Disney Art Academy, that's pretty specific. Also, he said that there's a previously unannounced Wii U game that will be shown that's releasing this year. We saw the new Paper Mario game that just got announced yesterday, previously unannounced. Hinted at by, Emily Rogers, a couple other people, but it was never officially announced by Nintendo. And also with the Kirby and Rhythm Heaven games, he also gave some code name for 3DS, some code names for 3DS games. And the 3DS games that are actually shown at the Direct actually match up with the code names that he had given, weeks and weeks prior. So pretty much, I don't know about all of his other stuff, but this particular report definitely seeming very, very legit, and I believe it. Why wouldn't I? Nothing he has said so far has been proven wrong. Only things have only been proven right thus far, right? So at this point, I would definitely expect the NX to become out in 2016 based off of this alone. There's more reasons I'm gonna get, because remember I said there's 3 reasons, but that's the first one and that's the main one. I believe this guy. So far, everything is coming out pretty straight, pretty correct, pretty legit. There's really no reason to doubt him right now at this point. There really isn't. And coinciding with this, it would make sense for them to port Zelda U over to the NX, because that strategy worked wonders with Twilight Princess on the GameCube and the Wii. Twilight Princess is Nintendo's best-selling Zelda game of all time. If you combine both the versions, both the GameCube and the Wii versions, highest selling. It was a huge success. It was perfect because the people who had a GameCube, who wanted a GameCube for the next big Zelda game, whatever, right? They were still able to get it, and people were also able to upgrade to. They also had a reason to upgrade to the newer hardware, for a Zelda game as well. So why not do the same thing with the NX? And I would argue that it's actually going to be better this time around than with the Twilight Princess situation, since of course we're going to have a much bigger leap in hardware than what we have with the GameCube and the Wii, since the Wii was pretty much a souped up GameCube, like literally. But when I saw Zelda U, I was like, oh man, wow, that was great. That looks really beautiful. And then I saw them say that, oh, we're going to target 720p 30 frames, which is expected and fine. I wasn't bummed out, and then I was like, oh, that's bullshit, 1080p. I wasn't like that. But I was like, man, like that won't do this game justice. You see what I mean? I wish this game was on stronger hardware. And I'm sure Nintendo themselves, while they're developing the game, was like, man, I wish we were developing this on stronger hardware. You see what I mean? So it makes perfect sense for them to port Zelda U over to the NX. It'll give people further incentive to buy the system at launch. If you get a Zelda game, if you get a game that looks that good with that beautiful art style, right? 1080p 60 frames at launch for a new Nintendo system, at least during the launch period, that system is going to fly off shelves. Perfect idea. There's really no downside to this. It makes perfect sense. I've seen some people complain about it. I don't really understand that personally. It's still coming out on Wii U. I don't see what the gripes are. You don't need to buy an NX to buy the game, to experience the game. But moving on from him, so his rumors are pretty much getting confirmed just left and right as the weeks go by. Moving on from him, the second reason why I know that this system is coming out this year is because of Kimishima's words himself. During an investors meeting, and you guys can look this up, I'd pull it up, but I'm lazy and rushing this video. During an investors meeting, he had said something along the lines of, we plan to return to Nintendo-like profits for the fiscal year of 2017. Now, for those of you who don't know how fiscal years work, fiscal years are, business years, basically, and they run from March to March, right? I don't know if it's like that with all the video game manufacturers, I'm not sure, but that's what Nintendo does. And so pretty much fiscal year, actually, I think the new one just started. I don't know where the cutoff is, but I know March is generally, where the cutoff date is, and then it runs from March to March, of the next year. So basically, the fiscal year 2017 is pretty much now, in between now and March of 2017. And so going back to what he said he plans to return to Nintendo-like profits in the fiscal year of 2017. And one of the investors asked him, well, how exactly do you plan on doing that? What are the tools you're going to use to return to Nintendo-like profits? And he said, well, I'd like to list one main thing, but I'll list two. He said the first being our NX business, and the second being our new cell phone and mobile stuff that we're going to be doing. So he said that one of the things that are going to help them return to Nintendo-like profits in the fiscal year 2017, which is in between now of March 2017, is the NX. Now, you could be stupid and say, oh, well, they can release the NX in January, February, March. They're not going to do that. No way they're going to miss out on the holiday season. Most console manufacturers in the history of forever have not done that. Systems have usually launched, in the fall, or, a couple of them even in the summer, if I'm going back and remembering correctly. But can't really think of any system that really released, in the first 3 months of a year. And Nintendo especially hasn't, right? So that pretty much confirms it right there. That's kind of an unofficial confirmation right there. I don't even think to this day Kimishima understands what he said. He said we're going to return to Nintendo-like profits in the fiscal year of 2017 with the NX. That pretty much confirms that it's coming out this year, this holiday season. That's the second reason. The third reason why I could say, and I believe that the NX is coming out this year, is because of E3 2015. You guys remember how disappointing it was, how shallow it was. It had some new games, but the new games were kind of like filler stuff, just light stuff, things for the more casual audience, like the Mario tennis game and things of that nature. There really wasn't there was no new retro project. There wasn't any next level games for next level game for the Wii U. None of that. There wasn't the next 3D Mario, any of that. And we were just kind of like, wow, like, is there anything else coming for the Wii U, right? And a couple of us, and I said this in my review video afterwards, I was like, yo, I think this confirms that they've moved a lot of projects over to the NX. And it's coming a lot sooner than we think it is. Fast forwarding to now, yeah, I think that line of thinking is totally accurate and correct. Because if you think about it, all the development cycles for most of their developers line up perfectly with this year and next year, right? For instance, 3D World was a 2013 game. This year will mark 3 years. Next year will mark 4. Galaxy 2 came out 3 years after Galaxy 1, right? So they could definitely do a 3D Mario, in a 3-year time span, because they've already done that. Not to mention that, they've combined, their console and handheld developers, and they've also increased team sizes, to make these games faster and whatnot. But by the end of this year or in 2017, there will definitely be a new 3D Mario ready to go out into store shelves. You see what I mean? Mario Kart 8, I was about to say Super Mario Kart 8. That would have sounded weird. Mario Kart 8 launched in 2014. Right? It'll be 2016. That'll mark 2 years. If it'll come out in 2017, that'll be 3. There's plenty of time to make another Mario Kart game. Matter of fact, Mario Kart 8 itself, a lot of people don't know this, Mario Kart 8 itself only had a year and a half of development. They make these Mario Kart games pretty quick, or at least that one was pretty quick. But they could definitely have another Mario Kart prepped and ready to go. Retro Studios. Tropical Freeze launched in February 2014, but they actually confirmed that they started development on their next game in November of the prior year. So November 2013 is actually when they started development on their next game. It's 2016 now, so now the next retro game is perfectly aligned to come out either this year or next year. Most likely this year, because I remember them talking about this 3-year cycle thing that they wanted to get on and whatnot. So there's that as well. So you see what I'm saying? A lot of these big Nintendo studios and big Nintendo franchises will actually line up perfectly to have new installments either at the end of this year or anywhere next year really. But I'd imagine most of them would actually be ready to launch this year, but there's no way they're going to release so many big franchises at one time. So I mean, so I think most of them will get pushed into 2016, just have extra development time just cause. Right, not because they're not finished, but just because they don't want to, make the launch claustrophobic, and they want to make sure some of the third-party games that the NX will undoubtedly have, get some breathing room to sell, so they don't have all these big Nintendo titles bringing down their necks. It makes perfect sense because I couldn't imagine Nintendo wasting their time putting these huge games, on the Wii U. Why would they put the next 3D Mario on the Wii U? That'd be a waste. The system is underpowered. The system is on its way out. It's underperformed. It's a failure. Let's just be honest here. That's not me trying to be negative or bashing. I'm just calling it for what it is. It'd be a waste. Retro Studios' next game, we know it's going to be incredible. The Tropical Freeze was an amazing platformer, don't get me wrong, but you guys know how I felt about that. Any of you who might have been longtime subscribers of me watching this video, you guys know how I felt about that. I was like, we don't need another platformer at this point. I think a lot of other studios could have done this game. I don't think Retro needed to do this game or whatever, right? But their next game for sure is definitely going to be a lot more, ambitious title, in scope and whatnot. It's not going to be, stuck on a 2D plane. That game's going to be amazing. It'd be a waste. It'd be a waste if Retro's next game was put on the Wii U this year. It'd be a waste when we could easily have it come out on a system with stronger hardware this year or even next year. Even if the Wii U was coming out in 2017, it'd be a much smarter choice to just hold those games for the next system. Because they'll do a lot more good for the next system than the Wii U could currently do for these games. You see what I mean? The NX will be able to do these games more justice. In these games, while, the Wii U will have a larger install base than the new system coming out, at the same time, it's kind of a reallocation of, I guess you could say profits or gains. Because while putting a game on the NX rather than the Wii U would mean that you get less software sales, putting that game on the NX will also increase the hardware sales, though. See what I'm saying? So it's giving them an advantage in a different category, in a different way. You see what I mean? So it wouldn't just not make sense. Oh, why would they put these games on the lower install base? It still makes sense because they want to be able to drive this system, especially coming out of the slump that is the Wii U. They need, some ham games. They need to just be rapid fire, great game, great big game, out the gate with the NX space. But I mean, like, we don't have these 6 months droughts, like we've gotten with the Wii U. So I just think it makes perfect sense. I think the stars have aligned. I personally fully believe that the NX is coming out this year. I don't think it's foolish to believe that it's coming out next year. I understand perfectly why people think that, why people say that, because Nintendo has always stuck to a 5 or 6 year console cycle. But at the same time, guys, desperate times call for desperate measures, and sometimes when you have something different happen, you have to react differently. You know what I mean? And what I'm specifically referring to is the sales, right? No way anyone expected the Wii U to sell as low as it has so far. It's sold less than the GameCube, and it will have sold less than the GameCube by the time the Wii U is said and done, and we're like 3 years into the NX or whatever, right? So when you have a console that has sold this low, it's only at 13 million. We never imagined, we couldn't fathom a Nintendo system selling less than the GameCube. We thought the GameCube was rock bottom sales-wise. Great games, great hardware, but sales-wise, rock bottom. But it's happened. So maybe we shouldn't expect them to stick to a 5 or 6 year development cycle when they are in a desperate need to revitalize their brand, to get gamers to trust them again, and to get back on the board. Because this generation, they have not been on the board, and you could really argue that with the Wii, they really weren't on the board. And of course, I'm not talking about sales-wise, but I'm just talking about when it comes to just appealing to the general, gamer. We all know the Wii sold a lot, but at the end of the day, it didn't really do much for them in the long term. It didn't do much for them when it came to the audience that matters the most, which is us. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Is the NX coming out this year or next year? I personally think without a doubt it's coming out this year, and I can't wait to see the system reveal at this year's E3. It's going to be amazing. But that's it for this video, y'all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.